All right. Hello, everyone, and now welcome to Shattered Exile 2v2 All the Random. A lot of you guys have been telling me you guys have been liking the All the Random games, so let's just go ahead and enjoy this. Undead over here on the top right, Night Elf over here on the bottom right. Meanwhile, Abver spawning as Undead, and finally another Night Elf. So Night Elf Undead versus Night Elf Undead. Gonna go ahead and get to the 2-minute mark since, well, we really don't know what's gonna be happening until heroes pop out onto that battlefield. All right, there we go. It's going to go ahead, unsummon. So Shadow Hunter unsummoning that Altar of Darkness. We're still waiting for a hero here. Meanwhile, Warden coming across from Sheik, so it's not going to look very strange until perhaps a little bit later. And finally, a Goblin Alchemist coming, fictitious War Potion. All right, coming across, going to go ahead and take down that troll. That often makes me wonder, right? If you end up getting a tavern hero, does it feel like a bit of what do you think? Does it feel like a little bit of a setback? Because on all of the other heroes, you have to train up, or like the Archmage, the Death Knight, all of those other first heroes, you have to train up. Meanwhile, if you knew you were going for, let's say, a Goblin Alchemist or Fire Lord in a traditional game, you could, well, delay that initial altar and perhaps try to build up a little bit more. All right, so Sheik does pick up an Ice Troll and also has a Fallen Priest as well. So, is that 2 Fallen Priests? All right, also has 2 Fallen Priests. So this is a little interesting. 9 to 12 damage. They are ranged units. These are a lot of ranged units indeed. As we are looking at Bizzare also clearing out this creep camp here, gonna pick up pair up of Vitality, and now haunting this gold mine here on the, the east side. All right, well, speaking of Fire Lord, there it is. So Fire Lord and Goblin Alchemist. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you end up getting an all the random tavern hero, is it that big of a setback compared to someone who, say, gets like a Death Knight or even say Dark Ranger? I would say Dark Ranger in this matchup works out well, unless of course your opponent only creates Tauren units, which, well, yep. Now I know, or now I remember, right? Sometimes trying to relearn the rules of Warcraft 3 after 20 so odd years. It does take a little bit of learning here. Fire Lord, well, Lava Spawn's going to try and perhaps finish off Bizzare's Haunted Gold Mine. The Ruby and Tower is operational. We can see a lot of damage racking up across here. Warden, are we going to see Fan of Knives? Yes, we do. Low hit point Ghoul could end up getting taken down. That is a lot of piercing damage. So these Fallen Priests do deal quite a bit of damage, 9 to 12 damage. And as they're focus firing down targets, it actually becomes a little bit of an issue. There's another big Fan of Knives, and we're going to see another Ghoul get taken down. Warden gets up to level 3 now, takes even more damage, but is just going to head over to these fountains and then make its way perhaps back off to the north. This is so much piercing or range damage that I just simply was not expecting. Meanwhile, the Red Huntresses perhaps going to try to finish off a couple of these ghouls as well. That low hit point Ghoul back on Blight, and perhaps going to try and gather lumber. These 3 ghouls just looking at a tree, wondering what they should be doing. Yep, idle workers. That's got to be annoying if Bizzare ever notices that there. All right, Staff of Teleportation. No Hex coming in from Bizzare. More ghouls going to get taken down. You can see a little bit more poking again as the Huntresses, well, remember, take bonus damage from these Fallen Priests, so that could potentially be a problem. There, Ghoul is now finally back on that. No, that one Ghoul is well, not quite sure what to do. All right, gonna go ahead and drop off some lumber and head on out, perhaps to try and engage. Warden, well, never saw a base. He never wanted to try and Fan of Knives. There goes one Ghoul as the Warden is still just wandering around here. The Warden, is it going to be able to Shadow Meld? Or yeah, if it's Shadow Melds, going to be able to stop all of this mining pretty easily. Absorbing quite a bit of damage, though, from all of these Ghouls. Are we going to see another Ghoul get taken down? There's another Fan of Knives, and these units are now trying to perhaps back away. Meanwhile, over here at the, well, east side, the Nerubian tower will end up getting taken down by Huntresses and Ghouls. So only the west side base is currently operational, but even then, well, the Warden has been able to put in a little bit of pressure as well. Battle Golems trying to fight and engage here. There goes another Furbolg Shaman, perhaps going to, yes, give a rejuvenation off to that Warden. Exactly what the Warden needed right there, as battling is just happening all across the map. So many low hit point ghouls. Necropolis still at tier 1 here, not getting into Black Citadel at all. Healing Wave trying to bounce around, and now we see an inbound Staff of Teleportation by the Warden. The Warden should be able to get off a Fan of Knives. There's a big Fan of Knives across all of those units there. Some of those units may be forced to try and retreat. Another low hit point ghoul. Wow, that low hit point ghoul is somehow still alive. Are we going to see another Fan of Knives? There we are. Multiple Fan of Knives, or multiple units getting taken down there. So 2 Fan of Knives doing the work. And now these units need to back up. So Miker and Abver need to back away, as the Warden perhaps trying to get a little bit of damage here. No, not even bothering. Perhaps going to try and set up an expansion down here on the southern side. It is 3 bases versus 2 bases right now for the teams. Abver going to lose another, well, lava spawn here, and this is just interesting. Are we going to see some more damage? Yes, another Huntress about to get taken down here. The Huntress just simply not going to be able to win against those numbers, as the Shadow Hunter out here on the battlefield summons up a couple of Ziggurats as well to offer protection. Meanwhile, Warden, oh, are we going to see enough damage? Warden trying to get in a position, perhaps trying to get off another Fan of Knives to finish off all of these workers. More are making their way over. Those workers are getting close too. Are we going to see a Fan of Knives? No, we are not. We're just looking at the Warden absorbing quite a bit of damage here. There's a Fan of Knives. 2 get taken down. Another one gets taken down. Warden now sitting at level, well, 4 1/4, finally blinks away, and perhaps going to take a Staff of Teleportation to get out of this tough spot. Shaman doesn't give a rejuvenation. Perhaps the Shaman should be the one to drink some of that Moonwell juice, be able to heal back up. Meanwhile, the Huntress is really putting in pressure, and once more, Bizzare's expansion on the east side gonna get taken down. All right, I gotta say, that glowingness of the Huntress, a little bit annoying. Once there's this many Huntresses in play, normally you would have high profile abilities on higher tier units, right? You want to draw your attention to the units that matter a lot more. All of this glowing for something that is essentially a tier 1.5 unit isn't necessarily, you know, I don't know. That's my critique. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Apparently I want a lot of comments. Coming back through, there goes another Ghoul. Huntress continuing to put pressure around. Plenty of Fallen Priests trying to put in pressure. A Rock Golem could easily get finished off here. So Abver gonna lose a Rock Golem. Meanwhile, the Huntresses are looking to take down the Necropolis that's trying to upgrade to a Black Citadel. Wisps are off over here to repair as well. The Huntresses just doing a good amount of damage here. And it looks like, yes, the Huntresses also have Bloodlust, so they're able to walk around pretty quickly. And that Shaman, well, taking bonus damage from that Glaive. Same thing, no, Ice Troll not taking bonus damage. We're still looking at both sides putting in pressure again. Warden comes down. Could be a little bit of trouble in the back here, trying to stay alive. Is it going to be able to fight back against all of these units? Huntress going up and engaging. And where's that Warden perhaps going to try and go? Warden down to 63 hit points. Forced to use a Scroll of Town Portal. Going to teleport back to here, I believe. Off to the far side. No rejuvenation. And the Warden, oh, gets in a Fan of Knives and finds a way to put in damage across these Huntresses here. All right. Warden sitting at 4 2/3. Oh, Acid Bomb onto the Warden. Warden taking a little bit of damage over time. Going to try and hide back again. And, well, even with that loss of armor, unless he gets attacked, she should be fine. As the Necropolis is nearly finished here, the Crypt Fiends not going to be as effective going up against these Huntresses. Low hit point Drew to the Claw in Adept mode. Well, venturing forth, getting to just turn into a lot of experience for the Shadow Hunter, as we are going into a Temple of the Damned. All right, so Temple of the Dam, perhaps we're going to be seeing some Necromancers, maybe some Meat Wagons. You can see the Druid of the Claw here, and a Miker just feeding experience. This is a tough spot to be in. Another Druid of the Claw lost. That is 8 supply just given to Bizzare. That is a lot of experience, and you can't be doing that when you get ahead. In a real-time strategy game, when you get ahead, the idea is to get ahead even more. And by losing those 2 Druids of the Claw, that is a major loss there, giving a good amount of experience as well, as we see a Goblin Zeppelin now take up to the skies. Alright. Warden sitting at level 4. Goblin Zeppelin is perhaps going to try and lift off and do a little bit of pressure damage. Dryads in position here. Firelord off to the side. We're looking at trying to establish that expo on the east side again, as the Firelord now with Orb of Venom able to deal quite a bit of damage here. You're going to see that Ice Troll just get finished off so quickly as the Firelord continues to apply that damage over time. Warden sitting now at level 5, most likely level 3 fan of knives to try and make more or do more work against all of these acolytes. We can see that a Goblin Zeppelin is there to elevator up any units as the Firelord, that Invul Potion came online at just the right moment. As the Firelord does a little bit of a laugh here. Where's the Firelord going to be going? Firelord teleports back home. I purposely clicked on the Firelord right there, expecting to know that the Warden was going to try and fan of knives to take down that Firelord. Firelord had Scroll of Town Portal, had picked up a Potion of Healing and used the Potion of Healing just as the fan of knives was about to hit it. All right, there's a little bit more damage, more healing underway, and it looks like Abver is going to be able to keep that Firelord alive still. All right, a little bit more damage. Goblin Zeppelin doesn't have anything inside its belly. Units are trying to retreat back. There is nothing in there. Rock Golem there is going to be able to attack off to the north here. It should be able to do exactly that, as Sheik is still just wandering back around. All right, the west side destroying the east side expansion again, but it is going to be the fact that there is this hidden expansion by Sheik. Not even really hidden, just a not scouted expansion and not pressured expansion by Sheik that is keeping this game much, much closer than it possibly should be. Warden continuing the fight. There is a Hex. Firelord gets taken down, and now Rejuvenation on that Warden, keeping it alive again. All right, Goblin Shredder was nearly taken down here. Warden needs to get up to level 6. If it does, we could see, Avatar of Vengeance here, and an Avatar of Vengeance next to a graveyard is just so deadly. Big fan of knives, trying to finish off some more of these units. Sheik trying to defend this location best as possible. Scroll of Town Portal, the Warden could have racked up more damage. Low hit point, Druid of the Claw able to back away. Meat Wagons here. The Temple of the Damned is lost as the Warden now gets up to level 6. All right, what's happening here? The Dryads all left behind after the Warden Staff of Teleportation away. Warden trying to attack a Night Elf base, not necessarily the best thing to do, especially as there is not going to be any corpses at all for that fan of knives. Well, I guess you will take out a lot of wisps though with that fan of knives, as the Warden's still wandering around back here, looking around, doesn't see any wisps, and now going to perhaps try and get away. Level 5 now on that Goblin Alchemist. Warden able to blink through, taking a little bit of damage here. Warden still just making its way down. There's the blink. There's a fan of knives. There goes an Acolyte. Is going to be able to finish off any more Acolytes. Skeletal minions. There goes another Acolyte again, and another Acolyte once more. Warden up to 6 1/4, as we're still looking at more fighting here. All right, Sheik trying to back away. Druid of the Claw is in adept form. Are we going to see a boulder? No, we are not. Units regrouping once more. Now, Goblin Alchemists. I've mentioned it in the past. One of those strong level 6 heroes to get. If Miker can get to level 6 on the Goblin Alchemist, suddenly transmutation becomes readily available, and it becomes such a powerful ability. All right, Meat Wagon going to get destroyed here. Huntresses now trying to make their way back down. A Shadow Hunter in position. What is going on here? There's a Goblin Sapper trying to finish off some of those buildings. One building already down. Skeletal minions getting summoned up here, trying to take down all of these acolytes. Meanwhile, we're still seeing more fighting and more pressuring over here on the west side. So if you are looking for a beating, this is a great game to be watching, as both sides are just beating up on each other, destroying bases constantly. All right, there's a big fan of knives here, and I'm starting to wonder if Sheik does have Avatar of Vengeance at all. An Avatar of Vengeance will make a lot of sense. Gonna go ahead and fan of knives, does take down one Druid of the Claw, and what is happening here? There's the Warden coming back the other way, potion of mana, and now gonna try to finish off more of these Druids of the Claw. Gonna go ahead, wow, finishes off two more here, maybe able to get two more again, as these Druids of the Claw are engaging. Warden, well, is going to blink and fan of knives. Yes, it does. Finishes off two more. The Warden nearly at level 7. Going to go ahead and get a pick of Potion of Healing. Now also has a Wand of Negation as well. And level 7 Warden. I gotta believe that the level 7 Warden has Avatar of Vengeance. But that level 6 Warden taking down so many of those units. And so many of those Druids of the Claw, as the Avatar of Vengeance was already on the southern position, trying to put in pressure where other things were not. Sheik using that graveyard to the advantage here. Could have taken down that Obsidian statue. That would have actually been quite a cool play, as the Avatar of Vengeance gets taken down, while removing all the Spirits of Vengeance. Warden with a Wand of Negation, but does not have an Orb of Venom, so no easy way of attacking up right now. Are we going to start seeing some dragons getting trained up? That is the follow-up question there. Healing Wave bouncing around, but nope, not even bouncing around, only hitting the Shadow Hunter, as the Warden, well, needs to be careful here. All right, we're going to see a big fan of knives. There's a little bit of damage. There's a Roar. Druid of the Claw perhaps going to try to get a rejuvenation off that. One Rock Golem going to get focused now. No, Staff of Preservation for the save. Beautifully done. Once more, but now these Druids of the Claw are kind of left behind. There's a Staff of Preservation for a save again, as Sheik able to hold on to these units at least temporarily. All right, we need to see some rejuvenations. Shadow Hunter coming down, visiting the Moonwells. Bizzare perhaps hoping to visit the Night Elf Moonwells, only to see, wait a second, where's all the moon juice? Sheik's Tree of Life finally scouted out. It is going to be easily taken down here. The Huntress is making it difficult for the Wisp to try and repair, as the Tree of Life falls in record time. All right, Warden heading back off to the north. Gets soul burned. Level 3 soul burn. Wow. I was looking at the minus 26 damage. So it's minus 37 overall, considering that there was already a plus 11. Yeah, so major damage loss there, as the Warden does have an Orb of Venom now, and going to finish off that Goblin Zeppelin. Both sides continuing to fight. We can see the Shadow Hunter. Necromancers do have Unholy Frenzy. There's a boulder right here. Both sides going to try and engage. Shadow Hunter could be in a little bit of trouble. Here's the engagement now, and what is going to go down between the battle? Warden needs to, well, summon up an Avatar of Vengeance, now trying to go after some of these targets. We're looking at some Dryads trying to put in pressure, and as soon as we start to attack here, perhaps, or just stick around in these battles, there's going to be more and more corpses, as the Warden needs to finish off many of these units. Low hit point Druid of the Claw trying to retreat back. Are we going to see some more Fan of Knives? Remember, the Huntress's heavy armor, the Spirit of Vengeances are not going to be countering them all that well. So many low hit point Druids of the Claw hiding in the back by Sheik. Needs to get a little bit more mana. Once he gets mana, can get rejuvenation and perhaps rejoin in on the battle. Low hit point Druid of the Claw here trying to fight off to the side. We're looking at more damage still racking up, as these units, well, need to figure out a way to stay alive in this battle. All right, Druid of the Claw, we're looking, perhaps get some rejuvenations going. Oh, there's a rejuvenation. Acid Bomb, Staff of Preservation. Warden trying to finish off more units again. Are we going to see a Fan of Knives? No, we are not. There's Volcano. Volcano taking down a Druid of the Claw. And the Fire Lord sitting at level 6 going to take down multiple buildings. Sheik losing the Ancient of Lores. That's going to stop production for quite a bit, as the Warden now gets up to level 8. Scroll of Town Portal on the Goblin Alchemist in order to get a tactical retreat, and he is now back out, as the Fire Lord falls at level 6. Archmage falls, I believe, at level 1. And, well, yeah, trying to get a second hero this late in the game, perhaps a little bit of a dangerous maneuver coming across by Abver. All right. Southern Gold Mine by Abver now trying to be established. Meanwhile, Bizzare finally able to hold on to this east side gold mine as the Necromancers and Meat Wagons are putting in pressure here. So this is an interesting spot to be in. This is a pop-up army. There's a decent amount of mana here. The Meat Wagons could take down these buildings extremely quickly. All right, so Meat Wagons can take down buildings. Are we going to see Wisp with detonations? There we are, just 3 Meat Wagons going to be destroying buildings slowly. And Miker could be in trouble. All right, Goblin Alchemist is going to try to transmute. Yes, transmutes a Crypt Fiend as both sides are still pushing their way through. Are we going to start seeing Cripple onto some of these Druids of the Claw, though? Destroyers are coming over to offer up some help, and the Destroyers are going to try and go straight after those Obsidian statues, or perhaps perhaps those Meat Wagons. One Meat Wagon pretty much destroyed in an instant, as the Destroyers had mana from devouring magic on those skeletal minions and mages. Southern side here, creep camp expansion once more getting cleaned up. Warden trying to be a one-woman army and now able to perhaps back away. Gonna perhaps try and focus down some of those units once more, as we're looking at the Avatar of Vengeance still summoning up more Spirit of Vengeances and trying to put in pressure again. All right, Warden putting in pressure. Is they going to take down a Destroyer? 1 or 2 more shots should do it. And that Destroyer is losing some hit points over time. There's a boulder onto the Warden. Warden could be in trouble, trying to blink away. Doesn't have an anti-magic potion. Is we going to see a soul burn? Yes, we are. As the soul burn is taking some, well, the Warden takes some damage over time, but able to heal back up. Tree of Eternity, where is it walking to? It cannot go off to the north to try and get gold. Needs to perhaps try and stop this location here. There is a blink onto the Necropolis, not realizing that, hey, there is no haunted gold mine to the south. Once more, Shadowhunter tries to put in a pressure, but the Destroyers and the Bears are just going to be far too much. Bizzare not going to be able to set up this gold mine off to the north now. So we're looking at 1 base versus 1 base, except for Abver's base off over here only has 2.5 minutes of mining left. All right. Shadow Strike. Warden, Phantom Knives, finishes off the Archmage again, says, thank you, level 1 Archmage. A level 8 Archmage can easily take you down. Let me get a little bit more experience and then try and back away again. Meanwhile, more skeletal mages and minions could be easily destroyed as well. What are the Necromancers to do, and how are you going to handle those Destroyers? As those Destroyers, can easily take down any of those any of the skeletal mages, and it feels like the Goblin Alchemist is just transmuting Crypt Fiends so that, well, the Destroyers can't get webbed down. Warden back up to full mana. Is the Warden going to be able to carry this team? That is now the question, as Sheik is still looking to finish off perhaps this this base down here. Well, 1 more shot. There it goes. Gonna go ahead and take it down. He's gonna summon up an Avatar or a Spirit of Vengeance. Oh, there was a Spirit of Vengeance right there. All right, Shadowhunter going up against the Goblin Alchemist. It really feels like this is just a hero game right now. Whoever can do more damage with heroes is going to come away the victor. Boulder, oh, blink, able to blink away and dodge that boulder again. That Warden, now with level 2 Shadow Strike, should be able to do quite a bit of work as a Destroyer trying to go toe-to-toe against the Warden. A little bit of damage over time. We're looking at some more summoning again. Avatar of Vengeance perhaps going to try to finish off another Acolyte again, as the Tree of Eternity, well, going to be forced to turn away. Doesn't have Nature's Blessing, and is going to be taking a lot of damage, especially from those Destroyers, as it finally gets fortified armor. All right, Druids of the Talon making their way out. Are they going to perhaps try and go after those Destroyers here? the Druids of the Talon actually have very good air-to-air attack. It's quite far, actually, so that may come as a bit of a surprise. All right, gonna go after all of those units here. We're gonna see the Rock Golem trying to finish off some units. Warden sitting at level 9, and we're looking at the Destroyers just trying to back away. There are a couple of towers here, so that could cause problems. Druids of the Talon finishing off one Destroyer extremely quickly, and now perhaps gonna try to go after another. Meanwhile, off to the north, Shadowhunter trying to hold back this army as the Acid Bomb, the Shadowhunter healing wave again. Are we going to perhaps see a cripple onto that Chemical Raging Goblin Alchemist? Oh my gosh, Shadowhunter going to be in a lot of trouble. Perhaps going to try and get another healing wave down to 58 hit points, down to 48. Going to go ahead and healing wave there finally. All right, pop-up army ready to go once more. Archmage and Firelord looking to take down the Tree of Eternity. It looks as though Sheik doesn't care about that any longer, and instead going to give it up to perhaps try and put pressure here. Destroyer is going to go ahead and devour magic. They're going to be able to heal up a little bit more. There goes another Destroyer, level 7 now on the Shadowhunter, as the Meat Wagon's being forced to back up as they wanted to avoid the Destroyers. However, the Druids of the Talon have done their thing. They have taken down so many of those Destroyers. Avatar of Vengeance now back off to the north here, as the Druids of the Talon are now back onto the ground, ready to fight against those Druids of the Claw, and also cycloning while placing down Fairy Fire. Disease Cloud also down as well, so that is going to cause a little bit more damage over time on all of those Druids of the Claw, making them ripe for Fan of Knives. Is Sheik going to be able, is Sheik and Bizzare going to be able to come back out over the top, or are we going to see Volcano somehow difference again, slowing things down? There's a bunch of stuns. There is a Cyclone picking things up. A couple of the Necromancers were about to get taken down. Archmage shows up to the party and says, surprise, I can do things too, and not besides dying. Even though there's a level 8 Warden out here on the battlefield. Archmage could be in a lot of trouble, though. Going to go ahead and get Staff of Preservation back out. Warden is sitting at level 10. What is it going to hope to do here? We're going to see some Fan of Knives. There goes a Rock Golem again. And it looks as though this expansion is going to end up getting taken down. All right. Expansion about to be taken down. Obsidian statues are down across here. Warden making the slow trek back home. The Moonwells are still, I repeat, still empty after all this time, and the Obsidian statues need to do a lot of healing. We can see Bizzare has picked up a red dragon, and now, well, a quick hex onto that unit right there. Are we going to see a devour? The red dragon could easily devour some of that there, as the dragon or the dryads are now being forced to back up. Avatar of Vengeance is in position. All right, little bit of damage. There was a transmute once more. Chemical Raging Goblin Alchemist getting in and out of that dicey spot, as the Tree of Eternity now taken down. Meanwhile, down to the southern side, Abver, well, trying to get a little bit of gold down here. Not going to work out well. Off to the, or still more damage. Fan of Knives, Staff of Preservation for the save. Warden going up against the Firelord. Firelord cannot be sticking around against a Warden. Level 10 versus level 6. That is a lot of damage. Even with the Soul Burn, as we see the Fan of Knives, well, missing the Firelord because of the Scroll of Town Portal. All right, a little bit of mining happening to the south. Warden needs to, well, heal back up a little bit more. Red Dragon trying to get back up onto that high ground, as the Moonwells are going to end up getting lost here. All right, Red Dragon does deal chaos damage. So chaos damage over piercing damage, so the Dryads are not taking bonus damage here. Meanwhile, the Goblin Alchemist could be in a lot of trouble. All right, Goblin Alchemist, Fan of Knives, and the Goblin Alchemist falls at level 7. I think the tipping point has been reached. Sheik and Bizzare able to hold out long enough over Miker and Abver to perhaps walk away with the victory here. Southern side here, the Ancients are slowly making their way over to try and take down some of these buildings. The Red Dragon, remember, does deal chaos damage, so it's actually fairly effective against these buildings. 48 to 81 damage per attack. Down across here, well, Ancient of Wind needs to, well, eat up some trees, regenerate some hit points. Looks as though Abver is going to try and stop this. There's the rooting of these units, and, well, a little bit of damage overall. Bizzare trying to take the expansion off to the north here. We can still see Bizzare is still mining at this east side, and that's really been the case. The fact that Sheik was able to take this southern expansion without getting caught for so long And now it is still one base versus one base, but Bizzare is about to fully about to saturate this gold mine off to the north, even if it's not a full saturation just quite yet. Dragon Turtle out here on the battlefield has eaten a rogue as well. We're looking at the armies just slowly moving across each other as the level 10 Warden, well, able to be everywhere she wants to be with level 3 Blink. Alright. We're looking at the Warden. Warden, well, summons up an avatar. Gonna go ahead, get the Fan of Knives off. Gonna perhaps try and put a little bit of pressure damage. The Spirit of Vengeance could just deal more damage. No reason not to stick around. It is completely invulnerable, able to deal 17 to 21 damage here. Shadow Hunter gonna heal up a little bit more, get a little bit more mana. And the Warden is just making sure that there's no mining happening anywhere. Alright, one Druid of the Talon hiding off over there. There's, well, 4 Acolytes, and we're going to be going into a battle here. Alright, Dragon Turtle and Red Dragon, both of them are the Red Dragon is devouring something. Firelord about to get taken down again. Is that going to be it? No, Firelord trying to escape down to 93, 45 hit points. It gets taken down. And now, believe, well, everything else is going to fall apart too. Taking a look at the total scores, Sheik and Bizzare able to outlast Abver and Miker. And I gotta say, Miker and Abver had an advantage going into, I would say, the 20-minute mark of that game. Had strong positioning, but that Warden was just so difficult to deal with. Even with a level 7 Goblin Alchemist, that level 7 Goblin Alchemist didn't, or wasn't able to transmute enough to really turn the tide and play a bit of catch-up, as the Avatar of Vengeance acted as a second hero, being able to place pressure on those expansions. The fact that Sheik also was able to mine a fair amount of gold. I think the real difference is the amount of gold mined between Sheik versus Miker here. A nearly 3,500 gold difference. And if you take a look, total gold mined, I believe, is about the same, right? 2413, yeah, about 37 on both sides. But the ending score, well, is often how you get there as well. Let me know what you guys thought about this game in the comments below.